main idea from these was?
Do you want those two bumps on the top and see their sort of pimples?
No problem. Well, there was a couple of things that I was thinking would be kind of nice. First of all, I thought that just going back to the question of color, I decided to make all the obvious color choices first, although I haven't really gotten through that yet, because sometimes I make these little forays into like decorator colors, you know, like this one's kind of like. But there is an infinite number of possible variations of color that you could use, and there's no reason to think that any one of them is any better than any of the other ones. I mean, they're all equally good. So you can make an infinite number of these paintings. You could even have it be a thing where, like my ultimate fantasy would be that like no home would be complete without a 10-prong cock attack. Everybody would have one of them.
Right.
And you could buy it at like IKEA or Walmart or something like that. Or you could even make your own. Or people could get together and one person could do one color and the other person could do the other color, which is actually something I would like to do. I'd like to like make one with another person. I think that would be kind of cool.
That would be great, because you're a wonderful teacher at the high school level. That could be a great exercise.
So if I did have like a huge demand for them, I could hire help. I could have a little factory.
What do you think about, you know, and Barbara was listening to Wayne, what's his name? Wayne Dwyer, the self-help guru, right? Would you think of having like 10-prong cock attack seminars, or you know, whole groups of people would make them?
Well, you know, one of the things about them that's interesting is that they do form cells. Like if 20 people all had instructions and they had the same colors and the same, not 20, it has to be a square, has to be a squared number. Like 4 of them fit together, 9 of them fit together, 16, 25, and you could make, you know, sort of using these tiles, you can make a huge field of sort of these undulating waves, and every person could make their own, put them all together is one way to do it.
Right.
And it's nice because it doesn't really require any specialized tools. You don't need anything except for several pairs of nitrile gloves and some paint, which is another part of the marketing thing. I mean, I can figure out pretty much exactly what it costs to make each one. And with a regular painting, it takes a long time to make one. So you're never really sure about how much you should get paid for it. Whereas the painting I just finished, if I sold it for $200, I'd make $150 for 20 minutes work. That's $450 an hour. Who's going to cry about that? I wouldn't cry about that. I'd be fine with that. I guess I really haven't been too, I'm on a little vacation from carpentry, and I do need to sort of see if anybody would take these things. But it's the kind of thing you don't even need a show, you know. I could go to like Katana Furniture and say, hey, could you hang a couple of these up in the background of your furniture store, or any place like that.
Sure. Well, I mean, maybe it's prosaic or whatever, but maybe it's a given an abstract painting or anything. But they don't. What's great about them is that they don't demand anything of the viewer particularly. You know,
they just give.
They're loving things. And but going back to, I mean, Sean said something interesting, because as I said before, you know, what I like when I see your paintings, and one of the things I get from your paintings is I always feel it's right where you are in the dialogue at that given time period or moment in time, where you are with the dialogue of your materials and what it is you fucking do, and so they have a presence to me, and that goes for all your stuff. So I'm kind of forgetting where I am, but one of the things that Sean said to me is he said something about them and art therapy, and what you were saying just sort of touched on that, right? I'm saying, well, usually I loathe things that have anything to do with art therapy. I loathe the result, I loathe the intention, sort of. Yet these are therapeutic in their effect, in a way, because as I said, they're calming. Yet they are art. You know, they didn't start out as therapy. And when you're talking about groups of people making them, I guess what I'm asking is are you cool with their therapeutic? Is this sort of something you think of in a different way, or don't think about at all, or align with, or whatever? You know, I don't know. There's a question there somewhere.
Well, actually, I think it's a ridiculous fantasy, but it really is true. It's like it is something anybody could do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anybody made a painting like this,
Right.
when they finished it, they would feel
Better?
yeah, because I think that there's something about using your right hand and your left hand at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you feel a little bit stressed as you're doing it, and relieved when it's over. And it probably jumps your brain over, and it probably jogs your brain a little bit to have to use both hands at the same time. I mean, you do it all the time when you're driving and stuff like this, but this is a little bit more.
Well, you don't use them in a sort of sympathetic way. You use them independently. You know, you're assigning a task to this hand, assigning a task to that hand, not asking them to work in. I mean, you're not asking them to dance together very often.
No.
And that's exactly what yours are doing. It's a little.
Yeah, I guess it's like a much lower level of skill than like playing the piano or the guitar or something like that, which I think is another one of those things when people get mastery of it, they feel like it adds something to their life. I remember talking to somebody who was taking piano lessons, and that he was an adult and he struggled for months and months and months, and then one day he realized that his left hand and his right hand were actually working together, and it was a real aha moment for him.
That never happens.
Yeah. He was always having to sort of like, kind of pay attention to both of them.
Right.
But, and I have to pay attention to both hands because I keep sticking my hand in the wrong color, but that was only because I had company.
I think it takes a tremendous amount of coordination.
Usually when I'm home alone, it's a little easier for me to keep my hands straight.
I think this is a completely different, I'm seeing it as a completely different compartment of your painting. One of my painting teachers once said to me, terrifically talented guy, Bill Collins, said, he stood behind me for the longest time smoking a cigarette, back when you could smoke and have cans of turpentine in the same room. It was great. He said, you need to take a pottery class to get the physicality out. I was, pawing the paint. I was in love with the physicality of painting. And he was all about Cézanne, this rigorous process of observation. To the point where he would stand and look at a painting for 2 hours before he put the next mark. And when you stand in front
that's one
of
of the things that I wanted to get away from. I mean, I really, I found this sort of preciousness of using a brush and trying to put things in the right spot to just be so tiresome. I mean, for what reason, really? Because it's sort of like you're in a contest in a way when you're a painter with all the other painters, so that when you put your painting out in public, someone will buy it. And
it's dog show, yeah.
And I really
Someone conversing with whatever those rules are.
in a way, I just
more successfully attacks those rules than the other painting in their mind.
and the people that you're trying to get to buy your thing, because of the way you have to price it, if you're slaving over this thing for 6 months or whatever, you have to charge these outrageous prices. And what do you really end up with in the end but a decoration that somebody puts on the wall? I mean, why not make it a little simpler?